Hello and welcome back to the Anime Happy Hour podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan, and I'm joined here today by my two co-hosts, our show's very own ramen enthusiast, Kirkland.
What's up?
And our devil fruit aficionado, Jake.
How's it going?
In case this is your first time joining us, we're the Anime Happy Hour podcast, where every week we get together, have a drink, discuss the world of anime and what's going on in it, while also sharing our thoughts and opinions on various topics from episode to episode. Before we get started, a few disclaimers. We are an anime podcast. We are also an adult podcast, so there will be the occasional swearing. We also discuss recent events in episodes of both new and old shows, so here's your spoiler warning before the episode. Lastly, these are our own personal opinions. As I'm sure everybody has their own opinion on the topics at hand, please refrain from getting too upset about our views. We love to hear all your feedback regarding anything we got going on in the show, so feel free to hit us up on any of our social media or email. Just look up the Anime Happy Hour podcast on Facebook, the @ symbol, Anime Happy Hour Pod 03. Or email us at animehappyhour951@gmail. We're also on anchor.fm/happyanimehour03. And we're also going to be on YouTube by the time episode 4, this episode is posted up on Friday. So look for the link in the show description. Now let's get on started with the show. Hey Kirk, what do we got poured up tonight? What are we drinking?
I just got Whistle Pig
What's that?
whiskey. It's rye.
Rye. All right. Jake, what do we got in your glass tonight?
Well, first off, that's a little bit less exciting than last week's drink, Kirky. With what was that, the Infinity one?
Yeah,
I called it Infinity whiskey. I mean, it's still Whistle Pig. Like, Whistle Pig's a good whiskey.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm drinking some Sambuca. For those of you who don't know, it's like a black licorice liqueur. And don't get me wrong, I hate black licorice, but it does something different to you. Gets the people going.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that'd be right up in my realm, but
you said black licorice,
right.
and I was just instantly
turned off.
You said black licorice, and I was like instantly turned off from it. I was just like,
Trust me.
Yeah, so you're drinking NyQuil, is what you're telling me.
Trust me, dude. It's like the only good tasting black licorice flavor there is in the entire world. You owe it to yourself to try it at least once.
I will, just because I got you to buy Botanist Gin. I'll buy Sambuca like once, but like I'm letting you know now. Like, I was the kid that, like, when I took NyQuil growing up, like when I was sick, like, God, just yak it up.
Yeah.
Like, I hate black licorice.
Well,
we'll have to give it a go before next week's episode. See ya.
Oh boy. That'll be my drink next week.
All right. I'll have to get some this week and make sure I have it too. I mean, I just got a...
I want some, like...
Yeah.
I want some fan input, too, on what we should be drinking.
Yeah, true. I mean, it is a Wednesday night. We break out the Four Locos shots of Fireball.
Gosh. No, not that kind of fan input. I want fans to be like, oh, yo, have you heard about this? You should try this or that. And it's like, no thanks. I don't want to be drinking fucking Four Loko on a Wednesday night when I have to get up for work.
I mean, whatever. Do what we got to do for the show.
All right.
I mean, I'm kind of posted up in a hotel room right now, so I got what I had access to, and I just got a trusty old 6-pack of Corona Extras here. So
Johnny's going to start pulling them out of the minibar.
I wish I even had a minibar in here. Whatever 7-Eleven had for me, that's kind of what I got stuck with. So
there you go.
So now that it's been a few weeks since we recorded the last episode, so we've had some time to watch some stuff. What do we got as far as tackling our queue goes? Kirk, you been watching anything?
I'll just pull it right out there. I mean, we wrapped up our two biggest shows that me and Jake love to debate and talk about. Tokyo Revengers and That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime both finished up, and both had very good endings, and I'm going to be very disappointed if we don't get another season of Tokyo Revengers.
Yeah, I will be too.
They still have a ton of story to go off of for that show.
Well, I mean, actually,
it
if
only
you're...
gets better.
Yeah.
If we're, I mean, by the time we're recording this, 3 shows have been wrapped up. I don't know if you kept up with Moonlit Fantasy. But that last episode
that
of
was
that
the
season,
finale for that?
Is it ending
yeah,
already?
episode 12. The first season
Tsukimichi.
is Tsukimichi, Moonlit Fantasy. The last episode posted up today, actually.
Yeah, yeah, I did watch that. It was I think the finale was kind of lackluster compared to the other two, but you know.
Yeah, it was kind of just setting it up for the future.
Yep.
It is the first season. I don't know how I feel about them only going 12 episodes, but especially with a show like Slime that put 24 in the first season.
Yeah, but
I have to
Slime
say,
is
now
like
that Tsukimichi...
guaranteed success almost compared to Tsukimichi, so that was probably like
Yeah,
a
but
taster
Tsukimichi
season.
kind of came out of right field. Nobody really expected it to blow up the way it did.
Not even the
you know, I'm not gonna lie though. Like,
was made
it's
as a
not
parody.
that I didn't find it that impressive, to be entirely honest. Like, I thought it was just like very generic fantasy isekai that kind of sort of hardly played off the isekai part of it.
I mean, it is.
There's
and
like
it
little
isn't.
mention of him trying to go home.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Go ahead.
he said by the end of this season that he ended up actually liking it there, and it's more of a joke played on all the isekais in the first place. You know, it was
Yeah,
never
that's
really
fair.
created too seriously. I mean, not on the level that like a lot of the other isekais are made. I mean, they throw shade at all the
Speaking
other
of
isekais in the middle of the show.
the
anyways,
other isekais.
You know? Yeah.
What'd you guys think about Slime's final episode?
Oh, gas. I was very content with
Yeah.
it. It ended a season nicely, and it ended the arc nicely, and it doesn't leave you wanting anything necessarily, but it does leave you with a little bit of anticipation of like, oh sweet, there's going to be another season. Like, we already know there's going to be another season of Slime.
And a movie.
Fortunately,
Yeah,
and
there's
a
a
movie.
movie.
That is correct.
Coming at some point.
But,
Actually,
October
I was
next
pretty
year,
happy with
somewhere around then.
yeah. I mean, as far as Slime's concerned, too, we don't know after the most recent episode, but going into this recent episode, it was the only show to ever stay on the number 1 on the anime list for the season, 2 weeks in a row. So the
Yeah,
last 2
wow.
episodes were top of the list, and it was the first show to ever do that. So, which is kind of crazy.
Well, Walpurgis
Yep.
was a lit arc.
Oh, it
It
was
really-
very good. You know what I love too is that they ended this season very. I'm probably being a little insightful here. I thought it was very symbolic of how they started the whole show, because they started the show with him just naming monsters left and right, and then they end the episode with him naming Octogram, and I'm just like, yeah. They made a big deal out of him naming the new group of demon lords, and I was just like, that's
It hit
that's
you in
great.
the right spot, Kirky.
Yeah, it did.
And I mean, I like that they didn't drag it along too much either. Like, they
Yeah.
didn't make it
No.
like a dozen episodes and just make it, make pointless parts to it.
Yeah.
I was
got it.
surprised that they carried the Carrion fight into 2 episodes, because they don't usually do that, but they did a good
The
job of
Clayman
it.
fight?
So. Or, yeah. Clayman.
I hoped Clayman would be stronger, so we'd get like
That's
just
what I was
more
kinda going
action
into this
from
episode.
Rimuru, because like I just want to see everything he can do, but obviously that'll be in future episodes. But at the same time,
You know
it
what?
was
You say
really
that-
satisfying how fast he just shit on him.
It was very satisfying. But you know what? They show how strong Clayman was, and they show how strong Rimuru is, because right after they finish the fight, you have 2 demon lords step down and they go, okay, we're gonna serve Malim because we're too fucking weak to be demon lords. Rimuru, good job. Neither of us could have beaten Clayman in the state that he was in, and you just shit on him.
Did
So
Carrion?
we're gonna step
I don't
down.
think that was Carrion's reason. His was he just got shit on by Milim.
Yeah, that's true. His is because Milim beat the snot out of him, but Frey's was because Rimuru was just like, yeah, Clayman, fuck you, I'm just gonna stomp on you.
Yeah.
Just straight up ate him. Like, took his strongest attack, ate his strongest attack, and then just ate Clayman.
Yeah. It was a badass moment when he's like, your death won't be painless. And then ate him. It's like, what's going on in there? Is he literally telling, like, Raphael
It's just like a black hole
to,
of
like,
torture.
just go ahead and torture him?
Yep, pretty much. I mean, it was not like all the torment and anger and everything that Rimuru faced throughout every season so far was because of Clayman.
Yeah.
So it's not.
How do we feel
I
about
guess
the?
it's not even technically because of Clayman, because we have an unknown baddie that was giving Clayman orders.
Yeah.
Which is presumably the other demon lord there. That Clayman was his leader. I forgot his name.
I mean, I feel like the Harley Quinn
Kazim.
alliance is got some tricks up its sleeve too. I mean, the big reveal at the end of how much more powerful than they are in comparison to what we thought.
Lapis.
I mean, I kind of expected it. Yeah.
Laplace. I don't know if he's actually that powerful. I feel like we would have seen him do more. He does call Clayman an idiot, but he said that Clayman was just a power-hungry idiot, which implies that Clayman was just as strong. I think Laplace can become stronger than Clayman without a doubt. I mean, obviously Clayman's dead, so Laplace is definitely going to be the stronger one.
I want to see a Rimuru Hinata rematch, though, now that he's Demon Lord.
But I'd like to remind you...
It's the only one he's lost to
Remember
so
who we
far.
saw... Yeah, there's Hinata. Do we remember who gave Clayman that pendant to control Malim, though?
Yeah.
Wasn't it one of the...
forget his name.
Yeah, wasn't it one of...
No, it was wasn't it the, like, Grandmaster of the school?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
It played that. It was such a little scene. It was like a 20-second scene, and then they don't even play off of it again, intentionally, because I think they want you to forget about it. But I think they wanted to hint towards it. I think that he is Kazim. I don't think he's.
They said it. So Kazalim is a death man, right? So he separated his soul, and his soul is inside of that Grandmaster guy, but his soul's like trapped in there, and so his deal with the Harlequin Alliance and Clayman was, I will release Kazalim if you do all this stuff for me.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a lot of plot points that need to be covered still that kind of got left hanging there. But, I mean, I'm sure this show's not going anywhere anytime soon. I'm interested to see if they keep it canon in the movie, like they did, like with the Demon Slayer movie. If they kind of do, movie like that.
I hope so.
I'm fine if they don't too. Did you guys ever end up watching Slime
Not
Diaries?
yet, no.
No.
I'll get around to it.
Hurry up and do that.
Around to it.
You want to see Gobta get his sword? Guess where he gets his sword? Slime Diaries.
If that's not incentive, I don't know what it is.
Yeah. I was actually somewhat busy this last weekend watching some shows too, actually, outside of the realm of our usual 3 that we always talk about. I watched Mushoku Tensai, the Jobless Reincarnation.
Yeah.
When I was like
Mushoku
looking up
Tensei? Yeah.
Yeah, when I was looking up shows that were dropping this fall, actually.
Don't say too much about it, because I'm going to start it tonight.
No, yeah. Well, when I was looking up that it came up that the second season was coming out this fall, soon, actually. I was like, I never saw the first season, but it was getting talked about so much that I was like, I'll go watch it. And I started it and watched it all in like a little over 24 hours.
Elite.
It was only 13 episodes.
In my opinion, it's one where isekai is done well. Because
it wasn't just
his
like
past life.
But he was dropped, like, he came in as a baby. Like, they started, the plot development is so well done and drawn out.
Yeah, but here's the thing, is that, like, all of his consciousness, like, any of the scenes where it's, like, him talking to himself in his head, like,
it's still him as an
from
adult.
Japan, not him from, it's not him as a baby or a child or anything, or even as himself in that time. Like, and they play off of that, too. It's him saying, like, this isn't me anymore, but I still think this way. Like, what the... it's weird.
A lot happens in those 13 episodes, really well. And I'm just going to say I'm glad I waited this long to watch it, too, because I would get so anxious trying to wait for a new season. But now that I know I only got like a week and a half to wait until the new season comes out, I'm all for it. I'm ready.
They left a lot open-ended on that, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But it's, that's the shows you want, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Leave you wanting more. And then I know I'm the only one out of the three of us that watches this, but I know you guys have at least seen stuff on it. Is the most recent few episodes of Boruto. With everything going on with Naruto in the news.
Yeah, he got his nuclear fusion form.
I mean, this is a huge spoiler warning to anybody who hasn't watched Naruto Shippuden, or any of Boruto. But here's your spoiler warning right now. We're finally getting to the point where we might see Naruto finally die. I mean, they told us it was going to happen in the first episode. I mean, the first episode of the show, they told us that it was going to happen.
I'm not going to lie. That first episode hooked me into the show until 3 episodes later when it was garbage.
The first 15 seconds of the show was literally the greatest, like, teaser. And then it's like literally putting, like, it's like putting the Shinobi War from Shippuden in the first episode, and just like Sasuke in the Round Table. He's like fighting people, and then just cutting it. And then having to wait another 300 episodes.
I was super hyped when that scene happened, but now that, like, we're getting to, like, there
somewhere,
I'm, like, pissed. If they kill Naruto, I'm gonna be pissed. Regardless, I don't care what the reason is. I don't care how he dies.
Because there's no... I mean, name another person that could... I mean, the only reason Guy survived during the Shinobi War was because of Naruto. Because he used another power, a power just like Naruto is going to use. It's a do-or-die power that he knows he's going to die by the time he's done using it. But the only reason Guy survived is because of Naruto. And there's nobody that's going to be able to come in and save Naruto like Naruto saved Guy.
Sasuke's
and we already know
unless Naruto knows by some fucking miracle.
If they stop nerfing
the only thing is,
I'm sure there's a little trick in there that could save him.
Well, the only thing, too, is I don't know how it's going to happen, because the first scene of Boruto, Kawaki is the one who said he's the one who killed Naruto. It didn't have any relation to the power that he's using right now. There was no hinting at that's how he died. I mean, the whole thing was Kawaki killed him, and that's why him and Boruto are fighting.
So, this is my theory. This is just me theorizing. Based off the very little I've seen and up to where in the manga I read. Because I don't know what Kawaki's like now. But, so, it seemed to me like, you know how Boruto is possessed by Momoshiki?
Yeah.
Is it Momoshiki? Yeah. That Kawaki is possessed by one of them, and that's why he kills Naruto. Because everything I've seen, which is up to the fight with that one girl and Naruto, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so the only thing is, too, is, like, he was completely... I mean, well, this current episode, he isn't... I mean, that's why they're fighting in the first place, in this current episode. That's why Sasuke and Naruto and Boruto are fighting this new bad guy is because Kawaki isn't possessed anymore. He was drawn out and put in a different body, and that's who they're fighting right now. So technically, Kawaki has nothing in him. Like, none of the Otsutsuki clan is in him, like it was for, like, how he was introduced and what the whole point of him in the first place was. But
yeah,
I don't know. If I know anything about Shonen and I know anything about Naruto, I know that they're gonna try to. Well, they're still kids, and I already know after this whole fight's over that there's gonna be a fight between Boruto and Kawaki as kids, just like they did the Naruto and Sasuke fight as kids in the original Naruto. And then, just like they teased in the first episode, it's gonna be Kawaki versus Boruto when they grow up after the time skip, just like they did in the original Naruto. So, I mean, because we're almost 300 episodes in at this point. So it's kind of getting to that point where Naruto ended in the original Naruto and pushed it into Shippuden. So I think in this next arc or in the next few episodes, there's going to be something that sets it off to where they're going to do that little fight just like they did with Naruto and Sasuke.
If they don't fight in
start
that
the time
same
skip.
valley, that is a missed opportunity.
Wasn't the valley, like, destroyed, though?
I don't
Pretty
remember.
sure. I know that big stone statues got destroyed when, I mean, unless they rebuilt them, but...
Yeah, but I'm sure
because
the
they haven't
valley's
shown
still
that.
there.
Well, yeah. Well,
They fight
it might
in the
just be a
ruins
valley
of
now,
the
not a...
statues.
Yeah. I mean, they haven't shown it at all since... whatever, but... I
Have
mean,
they left the Leaf Village?
they're still hating on Sakura in this show, so, I mean...
Well, I mean, there's some things you just can't avoid.
Yeah, her daughter still beat her already. As a child, so... But...
Don't you think it's ironic? I've thought about this for a while. Don't you think it's ironic that in Uchiha, the like greatest eye power is wearing glasses? Is that the Sakura in her?
Yeah, probably. She still wears them as she's using the Sharingan, too.
Really?
I mean, I want her to finally figure... it sounds terrible, but I want her to go through a Sasuke moment.
Yeah.
Because I really want her to get the Mangekyo Sharingan. Because she's brought it up to Sasuke already about how she gets it. Like, how she would
Has he
get
told
it.
her?
And she always wants to get them. No, he's like, no, we'll talk about that later. Or, like, you don't want to know or whatever. And then Sakura comes in and throws a bitch fit. But about her, like, training too hard and trying to learn about the Mangekyo and everything. But I feel like the pain moment, like what we got in that first episode with the whole Leaf Village destroyed and stuff, I feel like that's going to be an awakening moment for a lot of the characters. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, all I can do is kind of keep updated week by week. It's actually starting to get halfway decent, so 230 episodes later.
I was about to say, if you take 200 episodes to get decent, like, I'm good. I'm not gonna watch Boruto.
The
Like,
only
The
arc
thing
I
is,
really
the thing
watched-
is, was the Chunin exams.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
It was like I don't remember. It was filler because it wasn't in the manga. But when Sasuke and Boruto went back in time to like Naruto's childhood, that was a cool arc.
Oh yeah, that was a pretty good one.
Even though they nerfed the shit out of Sasuke.
I mean, they have-
there, but
They're doing the fights right. They're not like bad fights.
yeah.
Like, the fighting animation's still solid, but I mean, every other supporting detail is just not there.
Well, the thing that pisses
And I get
me
what
off
they're trying to
about
do
it-
with it, but go
The thing
ahead.
that pisses me off is the manga was pretty good up until where I read, which recently, very recently, they started actually getting into the manga story, and the show's
Yeah.
gotten significantly better. It's like, why have that 200 episodes
Yeah.
of filler?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I mean, it's interesting to hear from a certain few people that I know too, because they're going through the whole from start to finish Naruto, and they want to do Boruto afterwards.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to hear their opinion when they get done with Shippuden and everything. They're both two people that I know are already in the Great Shinobi War. So
Wow.
they're getting there closely, but we'll see their opinion later on. But because we kind of did take a 1 week hiatus, there is going to be a lot of news. We are doing this episode is going to be all the upcoming fall releases. See what we're excited about, what we think is going to be a flop, and what's going to be a hit, whatever. But first, we will try to coast through some of these news articles pretty quickly, see our thoughts, and let's start off with number one. What do we got here? There's currently, as of today, less than 100 days until the Jujutsu Kaisen movie is coming out. It's supposed to come out on Christmas Eve. I mean, are we excited? Are we worried a bit? Do we think that they're going to... I know that a lot of standalone movies sometimes try to switch it up a little bit in the art department and get a little lackluster in the fights. I can say from experience watching a handful of movies already that usually it's not the same studio as when the actual anime is out. So what are we thinking? Do we have high hopes for it? But
no, absolutely not. I mean, Jujutsu Kaisen already, I thought the fights were good. I just didn't think the story was there for me personally. Like, they left so much open and just didn't really do a lot of exposition. They could have done a lot more to develop their characters and stuff and just give a little bit more story and reason behind a lot of the stuff. Like, we still don't know shit about Sukuna. Like, he's just the strongest demon, our cursed spirit, like, to ever exist. But, like, we don't know anything really about him. We haven't seen much of Sukuna, even though it's, like, the main part of the story. If the movie covers a lot of that, I'd be excited and interested in seeing it. No, it doesn't surprise me, but I already am not a huge fan of Jujutsu Kaisen, and I've very rarely ever been excited to see an anime movie, with the exception of, like, one-off movies, for instance, like Studio Ghibli movies and that kind of thing.
Well, so, I mean...
And I will say that the Demon Slayer movie was great. That one was good.
The Demon Slayer
I mean, do we think it's
canon.
too early? Yeah, it was canon. So I mean,
for Jujutsu Kaisen movie?
Yeah, I mean, do we think it's too early? I mean, after one short season.
Hold on. You guys seem to have a misconception, if I'm catching this right.
I mean, I'm excited. I'm not going to say I'm not excited.
The movie is not like the Demon Slayer movie. It's a spin-off based on a manga spin-off of, you know, that third year that's studying in America right now that they've talked about, who Gojo mentions that he's potentially stronger than him, and Todo is like, where's Akotsu? Like, what? Get Akotsu here. And that's why he goes to their school, to see if anyone measures up, to give him excitement. So this story, it takes place a year before the Jujutsu Kaisen like storyline, and it's about Akotsu and the curse that he deals with, and it's that huge I forget what it's called, the like demon, like the curses let a bunch of cursed spirits go, and that's when Todo like killed like the 5 A class and S class, right? So he did that in Kyoto, and this is Akotsu in Tokyo, basically paralleling that and what he did during that time. So we're gonna meet a new character who's potentially the strongest kid in the school.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm excited for it, and I'm obviously gonna see it. It's gonna be cool to see the big screens. I'm happy that a lot of these new movies are coming out on big screens. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I just didn't know if it was too early for us to get, like, if they should have waited another season or whatever. I
don't think it is, just because it doesn't have anything to do really with the main characters of Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, I just feel like it's sort of getting to like a theme now with all these shows. They release a season or 2 seasons, not very long seasons, and then come out with a big movie.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know
after
if
the
it-
Demon
but
Slayer
at the same
movie, I'm sure
time-
everyone's going to start doing it.
Yeah, but at the same time, I know that they don't necessarily, the two studios don't always necessarily work in conjunction either. Because
Yeah.
usually the movie's getting worked on while the show's going. So
Well, that's what
that
would
kind
ruin
of-
it for me is the animation, if they change it.
yeah, I've just seen so many movies
Yep.
that they
Yeah.
there's just very lackluster animation, and Tokyo or not Tokyo.
One of the
Jujutsu
big
Kaisen
factors that makes Jujutsu Kaisen so good is the
Is the-
animation. So
is
if
the
they
fighting
change the
animation,
animation
yes.
style, it's gonna just fall flat.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna say. I mean, I guess it's we'll find out. We'll have to all get together and do a
I'll put it like this.
live stream
I
or
don't
something
remember
around
what you
Christmas
guys
time.
said last week. Have you seen the Goblin Slayer movie?
I have not. No.
So if they change the animation like they did in the Goblin Slayer movie, then this spin-off, this movie is gonna suck. Because they changed it so much that the fights weren't exciting, but Goblin Slayer's story is so good that it was still a really good movie.
I mean,
You're saying the Goblin Slayer story was
Yeah.
good? Okay.
It does exactly
mean-
what it needs to.
yeah.
Sure.
I mean, there's examples of both ends of the spectrum.
You know, the thing that threw me off Goblin Slayer is that it's just you have all this fight. Like the fights are cool, whatever. You see him slay a bunch of goblins, but like big edgelord Goblin Slayer is just like I kill goblins. Like, great,
that's
that
the
is
point.
what it is. The other thing that threw me off is that they start the show, like the whole highlight of that show is the first episode gets you hooked because it's just they make these goblins these demonic horrible beings. I wasn't necessarily a fan of how much they did with the sexual assault in the beginning. I get the point. I think they just played a bit much into that. But either way, Goblin Slayer for me just I need names. I need to get attached to characters, and Goblin Slayer, like the whole point of the show was to be generic, which it was. And I mean, I guess it's not terrible, but the story just was very generic for me, and my personal preference is unique and exciting characters.
Yeah. I mean, before we dive too deep down the rabbit hole here,
Yeah.
because we got a lot to cover tonight. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. I mean, from the last few episodes alone, we've referenced a lot of different shows and gone on our own tangents, but we'll see where that goes. I mean, that's kind of the glory of all three of us having our own kind of different niches and what we do. I mean, we have crosses at some point where we've watched the same shows, liked or disliked the same shows or whatever, but we also have our own branching paths, so we can all have our own opinions in that too, which is kind of nice with our own input.
Well, me and Kirk,
I guess we'll move on.
You're not allowed to have an opinion.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
You
yeah.
can't.
Usually I just sit back and let you two go at it because most of the time you never even agree on one thing. So,
No, we don't.
like a married couple.
You know, he'd be so lucky.
All right, so number 2 on the list, we kind of touched upon it in the beginning of the show. Do we want to keep it short and sweet? What are our final thoughts on the ending of Tokyo Revengers? I mean, the
I'm
final
fine with
episode.
short and sweet. We've already talked a lot about Tokyo Revengers. I thought
Yeah.
it ended well, and I'm very excited for more to come.
Perfect. Jake?
Yeah, I mean, I've read the manga. The first season is really good. It's only getting better from here. The ending was fantastic. R.I.P. GFU. Sorry, spoiler alert. And I would like to briefly hear your thoughts on Kisaki at the end when he was about to shoot Takamichi. He was crying and he said, "Goodbye, my hero." What do you think about that?
I mean,
something
this
definitely
is a Kirk
happens. Something definitely happens between when Takamichi shakes hands with Naoto and the future that he doesn't know about, because there's a reason he's crying and there's a reason he calls him a hero, and we don't know why he's calling him a hero.
Not
or
a hero.
It
He
might
calls him my hero. Think about it like that.
So it's specific. Yeah, it's specific to
Kiseki, yeah.
Kiseki. Yeah. Or it might even be related to Bloody Halloween. Kiseki might have realized something at Bloody Halloween that he would have noticed, and it might not be black and white as to why Takamichi is Kiseki's hero. We'll have to talk about that one.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll throw it on the list. Maybe we'll do a deep dive on the whole season, and this way we can kind of break down a bunch of it, kind of do a little bit of in-depth dive into it. So we'll save that. I mean, I think we all have our own. I think we're all pretty happy with how it ended and excited for what's going to come. They did it right. They didn't half-ass it, and we're all pleased with it. This one's kind of just a funny thing because I don't think it surprises any of us. But number 3 on the list, GameSpot did a poll of like 20,000 plus people, or 2,000. I want to say 20,000 on one of their streams, and Dragon Ball Evolution was ranked the worst live-action remake ever.
Yeah, I never watched
Are we surprised here? I mean, I don't know if anybody else has watched it. It was on TV at one point. And it was just... It was before it came out a long time ago. But I just didn't even feel like it followed along anything. It was just terribly animated. Yeah. But it was also one of the first live-action remakes, too. That was more publicly known. But I just kind of threw that in for shits and giggles because it was kind of funny to me. Everybody kind of has the same thoughts on that. This one, though, I know it's probably going to be a split room on this. Funimation is shutting down illegal anime piracy apps. They're taking action against pirating websites by sending the apps and websites notices, quote, shut down or face legal consequences. I mean, do we like or dislike this? Do we think Funimation has the right to, really take that in their
See, I've been thinking
reins?
About this one for a hot minute. And the reason I say that is it could go either way in my mind. Because you have a lot of people, like, look at us in high school. We weren't paying for Crunchyroll or Funimation. And nobody's parents are going to be paying for Crunchyroll or Funimation.
They didn't even have it when we were in high school, did they?
I think the solution is to adapt, like, the Hulu model and make it so you can still watch Funimation and Crunchyroll and those apps as long as there's advertisements. Like, you got to watch an ad every 2 minutes or 3 minutes, like, whatever. I think that would be maybe a solution to it.
I mean, my only thing...
On the other hand, right, like, studios don't get money from the illegal sites, right? Like, if you're watching anime on GoGo Anime, the studio that made that anime gets no ratings. They don't get any money for it. So I could see this potentially being good in terms of getting consecutive seasons, better content, better animation, more frequent episodes, less issues with development of shows and stuff. I think it would be good in that regard. I'm wondering if a lot of people are going to lose interest because they can't watch the show now. But at the same time, if the people are watching it on illegal pirated sites, like, their views don't even matter at that point, right? Because they're not watching it where the ratings are being received.
Yeah, but what about the shows that aren't necessarily aired on Crunchyroll or Funimation? I mean, there's websites that there's only websites that you can find certain shows that aren't aired on those too. I mean, I've had to go to websites because there's stuff that's not on those. I mean,
it's rare though that you get that.
People, I don't know. I mean, I've seen a lot of.
It's becoming.
I don't know if
more
Funimation
rare.
has. Yeah, it is becoming more rare, but at the same time, I feel like it's sort of becoming like a monopoly in the anime industry. Like Funimation is. I mean, they just bought out Crunchyroll, and they're owned by Sony, which is another
which surprises me.
Huge money business.
Nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
Well, I don't like Sony's models on a lot of things because Sony is very, no, this is ours. We don't want to share. And
exactly.
That kind of makes me nervous.
And I mean,
for instance, Spider-Man.
This whole title just kind of spoke Sony to me, which is kind of funny because I don't necessarily think. You're right, Kirk. That you can play both sides of the fence here because there is good ups and downs to both sides. But honestly, I think a lot of it does come from a money grab. I mean, the less availability you have on all these illegal websites, the more you're starting to push those people into trying to get onto your apps. Whether it's for the free version or not the free version. Because even if you get the free version, people, you're still getting money from the ads that you get to play through.
But it's not going to change the fact that whoever has Crunchyroll and Funimation already, whoever has Funimation and Crunchyroll already has it. And if anything, this is just going to encourage more people to get Funimation, Crunchyroll, or other streaming services, and it's going to give ratings. And I already have a bunch of different subscriptions to Netflix, Hulu, Funimation, Crunchyroll, you name it, High Dive.
Yeah, no, I mean,
VRV is a great app, by the way.
Yeah.
But it doesn't affect me because I watch all my shows on a streaming app that is paid for anyways. They're only like what, $5, $6, $7 a month. Like, they're not terribly expensive, and you can get away with just getting Funimation and Crunchyroll, and you can watch 90% of anime. I would say.
No, I get
maybe,
that. But at the same time, it's like I think they're trying to reach those people that still don't even want to use their apps for whatever reason, for ad reasons, for even if they don't want to pay. I mean, Funimation has and Crunchyroll have a free version. I mean, obviously it limits you, but at the same time, I think this whole thing is just to kind of, like I said, limit the field because they're making money whether they get new people using the free version or get new people using the paid version. They're still making that money. And if the general population doesn't have the access to other websites where you really don't come across ads, I mean, you get like the few pop-ups that everybody's used to. You just click the X and you go back to your video. I mean, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, let's look at it from a podcast perspective too. Like, let's say somebody takes our podcast and puts it on an illegal streaming website, and the illegal streaming website is getting thousands and thousands of views, but on Spotify we're not getting anything because people don't want to listen to the ads on Spotify because they have the free version of Spotify. We lose out on that because we don't get the ratings. We don't. We get a little bit of popularity from it, right? Like, we get a little bit of exhibition because
exposure. Yeah.
Exposure, whatever, that's the word I'm looking for. Thank you. We get a little bit of exposure, but we don't get any funds. We don't get anything from it because it's on an illegal streaming site that we don't get any ratings or anything from. Like, Spotify doesn't care how many listens we get to on that website. Anchor doesn't care. Like, YouTube doesn't care. Like, it would just hurt us. And yeah,
I feel you.
And so that's the same thing for that's the same thing for the studios that are developing these anime, which is why I'm kind of for it. I mean, does Sony definitely make a buck off of it, or Funimation and Crunchyroll make a buck off of it? Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's a money grab for them, but it also, them making money also promotes the studios making anime making money. So, in an indirect way, it's helping the artists and developers of the anime, and that's largely why I'm in support of it.
Yeah, I'm also...
That's well put.
Along those lines, I'm a fan of it because I'm 100% for supporting the creators and giving them the not only money but just what they're due.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, you kind of flipped me there. You're right. I mean, I didn't really necessarily think completely in detail like that. But yeah, well spoken, well put. I mean, I guess we'll see. You also get, I mean, it's a big ocean. A lot of fish in that illegal streaming sea. So we'll see what kind of dent they can actually make and where it goes. But I guess we'll just keep an eye on it. This next news detail is we don't have too many details on it already yet, so it's kind of just going to be whether we're excited or we're not excited. I don't know if either of you have watched it, but Fairy Tail is getting the sequel. The Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest will have an anime adaptation. Like I said, they haven't released too many details on it, but they said that we should be hearing about production details and a release date coming pretty soon. So, are we excited? Do we want to see more Fairy Tail? I mean, I was kind of content with the way it ended, but here we are. Back at it.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie, I'm totally happy with no more Fairy Tail. I just recently finished Eden's Zero, which is a new Netflix anime from the same creator as Fairy Tail. It actually still has Happy in it. It's not the same Happy, but it is Happy. The two universes, I think, kind of sort of coexist in some regard. But essentially, Eden Zero, the best way to describe it is the space pirate version of Fairy Tail. And I thought it was very good. It has the same, power through friendship trope that Fairy Tail had that kind of got a little cringy and annoying at times, but it was a good watch. It was pleasant. I'm a big space guy. Like, I like any anime based in space. Like, it is what it is. They got me.
I mean, so are we excited
it was
to
pretty
see more Fairy Tail? I mean...
No, I'm not. like I said, I want more Eden Zero. I don't want more Fairy Tail.
Fair enough.
Eden Zero, I think, was 12 or 13 episodes.
Build a new world.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I was a fan of Fairy Tail for the entirety of the show, despite the friend bullshit.
I think that's everybody of our generation's trope.
Yeah.
You know what? Fairy Tail is one of the most family-friendly anime I think you could ever recommend to somebody. Because a kid can watch it and their dad can watch it with them, and it's fine for both people. And I think it's largely in part because of that friendship trope. They don't promote anything bad. There's no language. There's a little bit of violence, but there's not ever...
I mean, you get into a little bit of later episodes, and it does get a little PG-13 plus with some of the... not necessarily the action, but the boobage.
The fan service? Yeah. The fan service? Yeah. Absolutely. But the kids don't recognize that. You go back and you watch episodes of SpongeBob and other stuff, and you're like, oh, whoa.
Yeah. I mean,
there's a lot of stuff we missed as kids.
Yeah. You want to finish your point, Jake?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was just going to say, I was a fan of the show. So when the sequel comes out, I'll give it a shot and just, feel it out from there. I'm not excited about it, but I will watch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you.
Yes. Yep, I agree.
All right, well, we're on to our very last news article. I kind of saved this one for last because I know I really enjoyed the show. But Bungo Stray Dogs, The Beast, is getting a movie. And... I'm not going to lie. They had a huge countdown clock. They got my excitement up. They got my hopes up. I was waiting on the countdown clock. And then they released that it was going to be a live-action movie. What do we think on this? I mean, I would have loved to see another movie.
Abilities.
I would have loved to see another movie. They did. I loved the show. I loved the movie. I don't think they should. I'd love another
season.
Yeah, me too. But
Not
I
that
don't
you can
really
do
think
another season. They ended it. But
I don't really think that a movie is or a live action movie is the way to go with this. But
it's gonna be ass-tastic. It's gonna be Death Note live action part 2. Like, it's just gonna be bad. There's too many abilities and things that happen
that are way too hard to
that,
animate.
Well, no, it's the CGI is gonna be too
terrible. Yeah, I mean, just like a lot of the live actions we've always talked about.
I'll give it my final my final predetermination before seeing it once I see the budget. Like, if they're spending boatloads of money on the CGI and the special effects and they're taking their time with it, sure, like, great. But I have no hope that this is going to be successful.
Yeah. Jake, what do we?
I've never actually seen Bungo Stray Dogs, so I can't really comment on the excitement of them extending the show, technically. I think there should be less live-action films based on anime, just regardless.
Yeah, I mean, the only problem is we talked about it briefly in another episode, but the way I think that there should be a cross. I mean, you have a lot of... I think there should be a cross between... Because Japan doesn't have the CGI... They don't do CGI as well as we do over here. As far as... And I feel like a lot of the movies that are made over in the U.S. do CGI very well. I mean, a lot of the big-name franchises are known for it. They make millions on millions. And I feel like if you took some of that and put it into these live-action movies, I feel like if you updated any sort of the CGI in these movies, they could be 10 times better. I feel like they're just so cringy and just... I don't know. I feel like that the way that
take the people that did the people that did Narnia or Lord of the Rings and have them do an anime live action adaptation, and then we can talk.
Or like I talked about last week, the people who did Shang-Chi's CGI.
Yep.
You got to see that movie to know what I'm talking about, but that was the perfect example of what a high budget, well produced CGI anime type fights could be.
Yeah. I mean, and I feel like until it kind of crosses over and it gets a little bit bigger around in the U.S. and all these bigger companies eventually kind of make some deals with other companies over in Japan and everything else and whatever it may be, I don't think we're necessarily going to get there. But who knows? I'd love to eventually see somewhat soon a live action that blows my socks off when I go in there not expecting shit. So I guess if you go in with bad thoughts and you think it's not going to be that good, you can be surprised pretty easily. So we'll see. I hope for the best because I actually love that show, but we'll see. All right, so this week, our big topic we're going to cover is new and returning shows and movies coming up this fall. Big fall releases. We're just going to give a little synopsis and talk about whether we're hyped about the show, whether we think it's going to flop or it's going to be a hit. Please note that there is a ton of shows coming out. And if we listed all the episodes, we're going to go on for 4 hours. That being said, we will be listing some of the shows and movies that we think are good to put on the list, whether they're for good or bad reasons. And if we miss a show and you'd like us to talk about it, feel free to reach out to us. We might end up doing another episode to kind of cover some other stuff that's coming out. So I guess we'll start with the first one. we're just going to I'm going to read out the show, read out the synopsis, tell me whether you're excited, whether you're not excited, going to watch it, whether you're not going to watch it, whatever it may be. First show, World Trigger. Anybody who hasn't seen World Trigger, it takes place in a world where Earth's under constant attack from interdimensional monsters, and they're called neighbors. The protagonist is a member of Border, which is a group tasked with fighting off neighbors and protecting Earth. Things take a turn when he meets a humanoid neighbor named Yuma, and causing him to question the conflict in general. We're getting what I think is the last season of World Trigger.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that?
Yeah. I mean, I think we already know how you're feeling about this, but it's getting released on October 10th. Jake, you excited? You not excited?
So I can't really speak on the show because I've never seen it, but I watched the trailer and I was not impressed with the animation of the fights. So my question for you two is the animation bad?
I mean,
no, the animation's
not that bad.
Watch season 1.
Season 1 was pretty.
Watch season 1. Maybe watch the first episode of season 2, and then don't even bother watching the rest of it because it just turns into garbage.
I think
it's in my
season 1
queue.
put it on a pedestal. It put it on a pedestal, and then I don't know if it just followed up as well as it needed to.
It flopped just as hard as Tokyo Ghoul did, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a solid show. As a whole, it's cool seeing a lot of the supporting characters and characters you saw throughout the first season kind of get a little bit more light in the second season. But it's worth a watch. You're either going to like it or you're not going to like it. Get through the first few episodes, and if you don't like it, you don't like it. It's definitely like a niche for some people. It's got its own crowd. Second show, talked about this a little bit earlier, is Mushoku Tensai, Jobless Reincarnation. It turned out to be one of the most talked about series in the winter 2021 season. Show follows a man who's reborn into a new world as a baby named Rudius, and he started life over in a new fantastical setting of magic and powers. By the time they ended the first season, he was just turning 10. So he's still a kid, and there's a lot going on by the time the end of the first season hit. The second season is supposed to air October 4th on Funimation.
What's that, like
Either
2
of you
weeks
two
from
have
now?
seen the... Yeah. Well, a week from Friday is the first, so Monday. A week from Monday. So a week and a half.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I mean, I'm pretty excited. It was a good first season. It got my attention. I got pretty attached to it.
Well, that's the thing, too, is
It does a pretty good power progression.
Yeah.
I'm not fiending for it, but I'm definitely excited for a second season.
I was surprised how easy of a watch it was, as well as like still grasping my interest a lot. I honestly saw a lot of people talking about it, and I didn't think anything of it because it was one of those shows that you kind of just read the title and you're like, it doesn't really seem interesting to me, so I just let it go. And then as I was looking into shows for the new fall season, I was like, fuck it, I'll give it a shot. So I started it, and like I said, 24 hours, I was done with it. I mean, I couldn't stop watching it. I was pleased. I thought it was done well. So I'm definitely excited for a new season. Mm-hmm. And definitely something you should add to your list there, Jake. Add it to the everlasting queue.
First I'll say this, and then I'll talk about the show. 24 hours finishing a 13-episode show, John, is not like a short time. That's all I'm going to say. Takes 12 hours
with my
and 20
schedule
minutes.
it is.
Anyways. I'll give you 13 hours with bathroom breaks. So once again, I haven't seen the first season, but I watched the trailer earlier today, and the trailer of season 2, and it hooked me immediately, dude. I don't know if it. I mean, from what you're saying, it wasn't just the trailer, but the trailer was so well done. I was like, after the podcast tonight, I'm watching that show. I'm starting it.
You're going to need to, because honestly, if you enjoyed the trailer, you're going to enjoy it. I'm going to say this. Watch the first season, rewatch the trailer for season 2. Because as soon as you start getting grasped on all the characters that you see in that trailer, and you start feeling and knowing all the things that happened previous to that trailer, you're just going to enjoy it that much more. So, I mean, I'm definitely going to say, watch the season, rewatch the trailer. Definitely worth a watch. Third show on the list is Bocky the Grappler. The franchise has been around for decades. The manga was first published in 91 and still going with 142 volumes. Various games and anime have also spawned from the popular martial arts series. The upcoming season, Son of Ogre, is set for 12 episodes. It's considerably shorter than its predecessor, running 39 episodes. The anime will adapt the manga's combat shadow fighting style and great prison battle sagas. It's definitely... I don't know if either of you seen it.
Yeah.
You don't really have to think too hard when you watch it. It's big, burly, muscular men fighting.
It's just really
like
well animated and just a cool thing to watch when you're not trying to really pay attention to something.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people love it. I've seen it on a lot of lists and a lot of show lists. So September 30th, so next Thursday, is supposed to be the release of the new season. It's coming out on Netflix. Kirk, have you seen it? Thoughts?
Yeah, I saw it. I'm kind of indifferent, I guess.
Yeah.
Of course you are.
Like I said, it doesn't take much thought to watch, but it still have a solid show. And if it's been going on since 91, clearly they're doing something right. So, next on the list, just kind of threw me for a loop. Adult Swim, long-awaited spin-off to Blade Runner universe, is about to be released. It's set 13 years after the events of the original Blade Runner. The show is called Blade Runner Black Lotus, and it follows the story of Ellie, a mysterious woman who wakes up to find that she has no memory. She does have a tattoo of a black lotus, and with no one to turn to, Ellie must traverse the seedy underbelly of a dystopian Los Angeles and search for answers to the tattoo and her missing memory. It's got a lot of big name directors. I mean, people who've produced and worked on Cowboy Bebop, Ghost in the Shell, The Hunger Games, Office Space. There's a lot of big names behind this show, and on top of the fact that it's Adult Swim 2 show. So it's supposed to air this fall. There's no specific date on both Adult Swim and Crunchyroll. What are our thoughts on this? It looks pretty cool to me. I know Jake likes the cyberpunk
It's my favorite genre.
To a lot of shows. Yeah, exactly. So I figured this was right up your alley. Pun intended.
Yeah, well, I'm super hyped. I love Blade Runner as well. And, just based on the trailer, the animation, I like it. It kind of reminds me of, like, the style of, like, a video game cutscene.
Yeah.
And, the question... or the statement that it has gave me a question. You know, it doesn't really say explicitly, but it's the statement like in the trailer was it's not called murder, it's called retirement, which you retire replicants. So is she a replicant?
I mean, I'm assuming she has no memory.
She's gotta
so
be.
clear. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of ifs and whens and a lot of plot twist. I'm assuming. I feel like that's gonna be part of the whole.
Like she'll be
Blade
like
Runner's known for
Ryan
that.
Gosling's character in 2042.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited. The animation looks good. They got a lot of big names behind it, and I think it could be done well. It's all a matter of whether its story kind of follows the hype.
Yeah.
Next is kind of I kind of want to say like a slice of life type show. I didn't necessarily know whether I was going to like or dislike it, but I'm definitely adding it to the queue. It's called Blue Period. It's a new show about Yatora Yaguchi. He's a smart high school student who skates by partying with his friends every night and living without a care in the world. He stumbles upon a huge, beautiful painting by his classmate, and it stirs something inside of him. From here on out, he dedicates all of his time to learning how to paint and create art for himself. It's coming this October. What do we think about this? I mean, it's definitely a little bit more of a slice of life type show. It's not action. It's not really comedy. It's a little bit more serious toned.
I'm here for it. I kind of... I've been getting into slice of life a little bit more. I'm still very action fantasy based, but I'm not opposed to a good show. I mean, especially seeing as how it seems like it's a little bit on the different side. Given a lot of the slice of life ones are honestly, and I gotta give more of them a shot before I just cast them out and say, nah, I'm good. I don't want to watch that. I also like art a lot and stuff, so I'll give it a first. I'll watch the first episode or two, and see how it goes from there.
Yeah, the art style looked good. Looked well made. So, Jake.
I mean, it looks interesting. I do like slice of life, but I'm not really into like the whole art or painting type stuff. But then again, that's what I said about Haikyuu before, I watched that. We all know that I love that show. So, it's usually the ones that you don't think you'll be into that kind of just catch you. So, I mean, I'll give it a watch and just see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I might be the one to wait on this one until it's dubbed. Because a lot of my slice of life shows I like to have kind of in the background.
Yeah.
Just like one of those things playing. It's like how you used to have like Nickelodeon or Nick at Night playing, just kind of in the room when you were around. So we go from a slice of life show to a drastically different type of show, Chainsaw Man. Denji's a teen boy who lives day to day, working off debt to the Yakuza left by his dad. With nobody but his chainsaw dog by his side, he has dreams of being a normal teenage boy. Things take a turn for the worse when he nearly dies, and he makes a contract with his demon dog in order to live and become Chainsaw Man. He then gets picked up by the Public Safety Division, led by the dazzling and mysterious Makima, and tries to save his life with a sense of normality. It's supposed to be released this fall with no specific date. I know you read the manga, right, Jake?
Yeah.
So you're pretty excited about this. I mean, I think you're the one that sent it to me first.
Yeah.
As soon as it got
Probably
released,
sent
it
you
was coming
like
out.
a few panels.
Yeah. Well, as soon as you saw it getting released, I think first time I saw it was when you sent it to me. So.
It's gonna be great. The animation looks fantastic. The story is really dark. The characters are really interesting. in my opinion, the worst possible thing they could do for this show. The only thing that could ruin it for me, and is if they censor it, because it's very bloody and brutal. I mean, based on the trailer, I don't think they will, but I mean, you never know. And if they censor it,
it depends on what platform it's getting released on too.
Yeah.
This
Kirk?
one might be a bit much for me. I might, I'll watch the first episode just to watch the first episode, but there's a fat chance I don't watch it.
A bit much for you how?
Like the gore factor?
Gonna be,
if you don't like gore, you're not gonna like the show. Watch the first episode, because it's gonna be like a Goblin Slayer.
Give you a taste
It's not gonna be like the sexual side of Goblin Slayer, but the violence. That's how it'll be like that. The first episode of Goblin Slayer.
All right, yeah. I mean, I'm excited for it, so we'll see. Next on the list is Demon Slayer. It's one of the most anticipated shows of the fall. Season 2 is coming out. Blew up last year. The story follows Tanjiro, who's a young warrior who seeks the power to rid his sister of a demon curse. Along his journey, he meets new friends and hones his techniques as a swordsman. The second season is supposed to be picking up where the events of the recently released movie ended. If anybody's seen the movie, we've talked about it a few times. The Entertainment District arc, it's expected to run for 26 episodes, so I'm excited that they're kind of not pushing it all into a 12-episode season. It's supposed to air this fall and end winter of 2022.
The pacing for Demon Slayer is great.
Yeah.
They do a very good job of
they slow it down and they need to slow
story.
it down, but they also don't take too long, and they don't need to. With trickles of backstory in it, which is nice. I think all of us.
The first season of Demon Slayer had revolutionary animation, and the animation, just based on the trailer of season 2, doesn't look any different, and I'm just really hyped about that.
Yeah. I don't think any of us are really disappointed with the show, and we're excited about it, so
yeah.
I'm all for it. Another slice of life show came up on the list, actually. Komi-san Can't Communicate. Shoku Komi is a teenage girl who has a hard time communicating, just like the title says. Though seen as an elegant beauty by her classmates, she has no friends due to her social anxiety. After meeting her perfectly average classmate, she makes a promise to make 100 friends. Turns out that their classmates also have similar quirks and communication habits, and they all want to be friends too. It's a tremendously popular romantic comedy manga, and it's finally getting adapted into an anime. So, and it's supposed to be very wholesome and sweet and relatable to everything that's going on in today's world. It's supposed to be a fall release, no specific date. I think it's coming up pretty soon, though, and it's released on Netflix. What do we think, Jake? Kirk?
I'm probably, same as before. I'll give it an episode, maybe 2.
Yeah, it's a cute
see what it is.
Style of animation.
I was a fan of
it's a little more bubbly
animation style.
Yeah, it's a little bit more bubbly. It's a rom-com. We all have our own communication quirks and habits. Social anxiety is a big thing that's getting tackled nowadays. It's very well known for a lot of people, so I don't think they're too far off from making a show that's kind of tackling it too. So we'll see. It's another show that's getting added to the list that I'm excited for. We all need our Chainsaw Mans, and we all need our shows like this. So both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
This next show is kind of one of the new shows that I'm excited for. It's from the team of Death Note and Bakuman. It's called Platinum End. The anime adaptation from the manga, and the show currently being made by Signal MD follows a student who attempts suicide only to be saved by a guardian angel. After saving him, they tell him that he's one of 13 candidates chosen by different angels to take the role of God, who is supposed to retire in 999 days. They don't want to participate in the contest to become God, but that won't stop the other candidates from giving it their all to become God. So it's kind of probably going to be a big battle royale type thing. The animation looked really good. The fights looked really good. It'll definitely be interesting. It's definitely like fantasy-esque too, which is nice.
Yeah, it
Kirk, this like seems like right up your alley as far as the show too.
See, it's funny you say that because I watched the preview for this and it looks so edgy. The whole, I don't know why, but almost any time angels get involved in a show, it's just instantaneously like, okay, I don't know.
It's a hit or miss.
This. Like, yep, like, dude, Seven Deadly Sins, I loved Seven Deadly Sins, and then as soon as they introduced the angels, I was like, this show just kind of turned to crap. Like, angels come into a show, angels in any trope, anytime they come in, they just ruin it, and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
I'll go watch something else now. Given I did finish Seven Deadly Sins, and it wasn't awful, but I didn't like as soon as they brought
newer
in, like,
seasons.
Ludaciel and all those. Yeah,
The newer
it
seasons
wasn't the same.
No. Jake, what do you think? I mean, you watched the trailer, right?
Yeah. I mean, it looks good, and I'll definitely give it a watch. As far as the anime community, this seems to be the most looked forward to of the new shows coming out.
Newer, yeah.
I will say, I don't know if you guys have seen Future Diary. It's pretty much the same exact plot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. It's
I don't
coming
have a
out pretty
problem
soon.
with that.
Few
I
weeks,
love
2
Future
weeks.
Diary, but
I'm still gonna watch it.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna give it a go, and like I said, we might do I think we talked about it at one point. Doing towards the end of the season, we'll do end of the fall season, we'll do another episode, kind of seeing if it lived up to the hype, what we thought about the new seasons, and what we thought about everything else. So it'll be interesting to see when we come back to it. Next, I threw it on for all the people out there who love their fan service. World End Harem is coming back to Crunchyroll for another season. If you don't know the plot of it, the time is near future Tokyo, Japan 2040. A young man suffering from an intractable disease vows to reunite with his childhood friend and decides to cold sleep to cure her illness. When he wakes up 5 years later, the world was undergoing a major transformation. The male killer virus has killed 99% of men on the planet. The ground was super harem with 5 billion women and for every 5 men. Only 5 men numbers are resistant to the MK virus, one of them being the main character. I mean, I don't know who's seen the first season. Might be guilty as charged, but I mean, it's
No, John.
just,
Was there a first season?
hey, yeah,
No, there
yeah,
wasn't.
I'm almost positive there was a.
No, there wasn't. Because I've read the manga, I would know.
Oh, Jake.
You know, it'll be interesting to see what
maybe
they
not.
do with
I was
this.
thinking of.
Because
I'm not gonna say I'm judging both of you, but I'm judging
you
both
can
of
do whatever you want, guy.
Hey, we have to do our own. Oh no, it's the second part. Yeah.
It's the second part.
Hey, I mean, we have to do our own research for the show, Kirkland, and we like to cover all the genres. You know.
Gotcha.
You know, I went through.
You can't be misinformed. You know.
It's pretty wild.
No, I mean it's fan service.
If this is the second part, I didn't watch the first part. It would be interesting to see how they censor it.
Yeah, I mean it's on Crunchyroll.
If it comes
too,
out as is, it might. It's like not very far from a hentai.
Which surprised me that it's coming out on Crunchyroll out of all places.
Yeah, and Crunchyroll's big.
I mean, Crunchyroll has its few. It has its few. I mean, it does have High School DxD, has Date A Live. I don't know. We'll see. Comes out in a few weeks, so I'll give it a watch. If you're twisting my arm, you know.
I probably won't watch it just because, you know, I know the story. And it's not good enough for me to go through it again.
I feel you.
I mean, I might watch it just for the sake of us talking about it in like 2 months, but I don't have high hopes for it, honestly.
I mean, the animation looks alright, so we'll see. I don't know. Like I said, it's on the list. Threw it out there. Cover all our grounds here.
Yeah.
See, I don't know if either of you watched the trailer for this one.
I haven't.
But this kind of piqued my interest a lot. But for Ranking of Kings.
I remember that one.
Boji is a deaf prince who lacks power and sword-wielding ability. He's also the heir to the throne and has high hopes for his future. After finding a friend in the Shadow Cage, Boji sets off on a grand adventure to become the greatest king in the world. It's getting released on October 15th on Funimation. Honestly, this art style kind of threw me for a loop. It looks really good, though. It's
definitely the most unique.
But I mean, I'm excited for it. It definitely is kind of like a different theme.
The show I'm looking forward most to coming out, well, Mushoku Tensei, I guess, is the biggest one that I'm looking forward to having a new season. Yeah. I guess the show that I'm looking forward to coming out the most that hasn't had anything yet. It's an adaptation, thank you, words, of a light novel. It's called Shihate no Paladin, and it's basically about a kid. He's one of the few humans left, and he was raised by the undead, and he basically lives in a world of the undead, and it's his quest to become a paladin. So, you know, it's just the thing that kills undead is what he wants to become, even though he was raised by the undead. I just thought that the plot for it was very interesting, and it's that fantasy trope with magic and swords and
fantasy.
Look at that.
Yeah, that's right up your.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of good shows coming out. Like I said, we'll probably touch base and talk about a handful of them. They're going to show up in our what we've been watching. As a lot of them look to be coming out in pretty soon, end of September, early October. So I'm sure, you know, it's going to come up in conversation a lot throughout the next few months. So good or bad, we'll kind of keep everybody updated, and that's that for all of our new shows coming out. Kind of our last topic for tonight. What's our show recommendations? Our last segment, we like to bring to light a new show for our viewers, one from each of us. Over the years, we kind of watched a wide variety of shows, so we're going to pick a random show from our log and maybe give a little description. Maybe it's something that you guys are going to end up liking in the future. Kirk, what do you got for your show recommendation?
You know what? We haven't even mentioned it at all, I don't think, in any of episodes. You know what I just watched recently, and it's always fun to watch? It's a very good comedy anime, especially for anybody getting into anime, is Devil is a Part-Timer.
Great show.
It's essentially about essentially about Satan just getting isekai'd into the human world, losing majority of his power, and he decides, nah, fuck it, I don't want to be a demon lord. I just want to work at McDonald's, and that's the plot. That's it right there. Like, it's just the devil wants to work at McDonald's. He's done being the devil.
Yeah, it's definitely a
watch
good
the show. I'm not going to spoil anything else for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Definitely worth watching.
That was my number 2 for what I was going to put on this list. I almost put it on here. So it's a really good show. Really lighthearted, but incredibly hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, what was your number 1 then, Jake? What kind of overtook
Death Parade.
Oh, yeah.
That's an entirely different show.
I'm a variety type of man. Anyways,
Anything but comedy.
so the setting...
It's got its moments.
The setting's basically purgatory, but it takes place in a bar. And, people go there after they die, and basically compete against each other in games to decide whether their soul will get reincarnated or sent to oblivion. It's a really thought-provoking and existential show with great music and some really interesting characters. Anyone who's into like really deep, kind of dark stuff or talking about the afterlife, definitely check it out. Death Parade.
Yeah, it's definitely a good show. Worth watching. The show that I put on my list for this week is Made in the Abyss.
Ooh, yes.
Uh,
Absolutely.
It's about a giant pit and cave system. It's called the Abyss, and it's the only unexplored place in the world. It holds all these strange creatures in each layer, and as well as many different relics called artifacts that current humans are not able to recreate themselves. Delvers are adventurers that explore the different layers of the pit, with the higher layers being safer to an extent for the delvers who go to collect materials and other things, but the deeper you go down, the more dangerous it gets. Not only the creatures and the habitat, but the effects it takes on your body. It kind of follows a little orphan girl who's always dreamed of being a delver. She sneaks away to explore the pit herself, who then she meets a little robot boy who helps her as they progress through the hell that is called the pit. The show kind of hooked me from the beginning. The animation and art style is so like bubbly and cute, but it gets dark at times. So definitely bring a box of tissues and buckle up. It's an emotional ride, but it's definitely one of my favorite shows.
I haven't seen it, but it's come up on lists, and when I read like the description, it says this will be one of the most depressing shows you've ever seen.
Yes. That's all I got to say is yes. It's one season and then like 3 movies, but one of the movies is kind of just like a recap of the season. So there's 2 movies.
What's the name of the movie?
Doesn't it have like one of the better soundtracks in anime?
Yes. Get a little search here going. The newer one that came out was Dawn of the Deep Soul, and that kind of finished out the whole plot line. Journey's Dawn is the first one, but that's pretty much a recap of the show. It kind of pretty much just does the exact same, follows the same story. And then there's Wandering Twilight, which starts to progress the storyline again. And then the last one, which ends it all, is Dawn of the Deep Soul. And that one just came out in 2020, actually. January 2020. which finally finished it all off. But it's definitely depressing, and it's definitely an emotional roller coaster. So, good one to add to the list.
Sounds good.
That being said, it's kind of going to wrap up episode 4 of the Anime Happy Hour podcast. Feel free to reach out to us with any suggestions or concerns or kind words. We're still pretty new to the podcast world, so we're always looking for input. As the episodes go on, we're going to get our legs for the podcast, and hope everybody sticks with us throughout it. Feel free to contact us anytime via Facebook at the Anime Happy Hour podcast, our email, animehappyhour951. We're currently streaming on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, coming in soon in the future. And like I said in the beginning, we will have the videos posted up on YouTube by the time the episode 4 drops on Friday. Hopefully, maybe in the future, we're going to do a video chat while we're kind of going through all this. And this way we can post that all up on YouTube as well. So that's kind of going to be it. Thanks for joining us tonight. Until next time, we will sign off. Peace, guys.
See ya.
Bye.